Hello everyone, Cassius here, and welcome back to The Lean and Hungry Look. Today I'm here to confess, I have a pretty big issue with the Shakespeare canon. Not the plays themselves, obviously those are pretty badass, some late play weirdness notwithstanding, but my issue is this. In all the love for Shakespeare and his awesome characters, there doesn't seem to be enough to go around. There are some characters who everyone seems to love, but some sadly languish on the sidelines, the audience's brains too overtaxed to think about them, and there are some characters who are so overbearing that in the 400 years since their introduction, people have started to hate them. So, with that in mind, let's jump in with the holiday spirit of spreading love to those who need it most, and take a peek at those unloved characters of the bard, some overlooked, and some far too known for their own good, as I count down the 20 most underrated characters in the canon. Welcome back to The Lean and Hungry Look.
It's like Kirk and Spock, only they're both Danish. Possibly both.
If Jews run Hollywood, why can't we get a Jew to play the freaking Jewish
Is
character?
he rescuing these people with his penis?
Character number 20 is so minor that people often forget he's in the damn play, and he's rarely cut, so if you look at his scenes, you'll find a legitimate subplot and some damn chilly foreshadowing. Character number 20 is Octavius Caesar from Julius Caesar. Oh yes, Octavius, the future Emperor Augustus, is an actual character in Julius Caesar. Not that you knew that. Hell, even if you saw the play yesterday. Yesternight? Yesternight. Even if you saw the play yesternight, you'd be forgiven for not noticing that he's even there. It's not that productions get his character wrong, per se, it's just that he's not as amped as he should be most of the time, just written off as some schoolboy the way that the other characters view him. This, as the other characters find out, is a mistake. So what exactly should this minor character be portrayed as? Well, he is the Rahm Emanuel of ancient Rome. This is to say, a political shark. This underserved character is majorly overshadowed by the big four of Caesar. That's Brutus, Cassius, Antony, and Caesar, the man himself. But even with his role being as small as it is, he deserves a fair bit. He's only in a few scenes with Antony, but his budding political skill is evident, and the fact that Caesar picked him really does speak volumes. This guy is going to be Caesar's heir for a reason. In the scene where Antony decides to start bad-mouthing their co-worker, co-teammate Lepidus, Octavius stays above the fray, letting Antony badmouth their team member without actually admitting that he dislikes him himself. He lets Antony dig his own grave. Someone that indiscreet might be talking smack about Octavius too, and you see that in the sequel, Antony and Cleopatra, some bad shit's about to go down between these two allies. Oh yes. Take a peek.
Octavius, lead your legion softly on. Upon the left hand of the even field.
Upon the right hand, I. Keep thou the left.
Why do you cross me in this exigent?
I do not cross you, but I will do so.
The young leader is already brave enough to take on the silver-tongued Antony while never openly declaring war, at least not yet. Charlton Heston or no, Octavius is ready to lay the groundwork for a fight against Brutus and Cassius, against his now ally, whoever it is. He's going to win because that is just how he rolls.
Some that smile have in their hearts, I fear, millions of mischiefs.
Character number 19 is a character who perpetrates the single biggest move in the entire Shakespeare canon. However, the play that he's in features such horrifying depths of villainy that it's hard to even remember he was there by the time all the bodies have hit the floor. Character 19 is Saturninus from Titus Andronicus. As you see from the title card there, Titus, the movie by Julie Taymor, featured Alan Cumming as Saturninus, which is a brilliant portrayal. I find no fault here. However, most productions just play Saturninus as a little bit of an idiot. Most people don't have the flair of Alan Cumming to pull off the sly douchebag of a man that Saturninus truly is. However, Saturninus really isn't just an idiot the way that most people portray him. He's not just someone who likes to throw his weight around, as much as that is part of what he does. Saturninus comes from the depths of villainy. Depths of villainy. I understand the other people in Titus more come from the depths of villainy, but Saturninus is up there. In the first scene of the play, Titus kills his youngest son out of loyalty to Saturninus, but Saturninus decides to lump Titus in with the rest of his family and the plot against Saturninus as he perceives it, and writes Titus off as his enemy, as a traitor, when he just killed his youngest war hero son out of loyalty to him. Move. However, by the time everything is said and done, you've gotten a lot more villainy with rape, murder, dismemberment, and more. So I think Saturninus just deserves a bit more of his props. Not for being so good, but for being so bad. Put someone like Alan Cumming in that part, someone who can really throw some weight around in a way that doesn't just make him out to be a flimsy, but someone who really knows how to dig in and be a little bit evil. Because you know what? A little bit evil is a little bit evil, as much as a lot evil tends to run away with the attention of the audience. A little bit evil can really, really hurt just as much. Character number 19.
He and his shall know that justice lives in Saturninus' health, whom if she sleep, he'll so awake as she in fury shall cut off the proud conspirator that lives.
Character number 18 is the first character who falls victim to being a minor character who's pretty cool and usually would take away the audience's attention if the play was ever frickin' performed. Character number 18 is the Countess of Roussillon from All's Well That Ends Well. Most people don't know the play, and the people who do don't like it. Here's the reason for that. All's Well That Ends Well is a horrible story of two very unlikable leads. Helena, the brilliant daughter of a common doctor, cures the king of his illness, and when the king decides to reward her by letting her marry whoever she wants despite her class, she picks Count Bertram. Bertram wants no part of her, for no particular reason, he just doesn't seem to like her. But he has to marry her anyway. However, no law says that he has to touch her, and he says that he won't be a faithful husband to her until she can get the ring off his finger, which he never takes off, and become pregnant with his child, and good luck doing that while he's off in Italy. Well, long story short, she prevails. The title of the play, All's Well That Ends Well, is in full force. The play is wrapped up with a neat little bow. We're supposed to think it's a comedy or something, and everyone's just left feeling a little bit sketched out. The Countess of Roussillon, on the other hand, is Bertram's mother, and her obvious love for Helena and the desire for her to end up with the full devotion of her son almost turns this play into something other than an emotional black hole. It's the kind of role that Maggie Smith should have immortalized on screen at some point before now, and I hope that that happens sometime. It'd be pretty cool.
Let every word weigh heavy with her worth, which he does weigh too light. My greatest grief, though little he do feel it, set down sharply. Dispatch the most convenient messenger. If haply he shall hear that she's gone, he will return. Then hope I may that she, hearing so much, will speed her foot again, led hither by pure love.
Character number 17 is someone who plays a pretty major part in 3 history plays, count 'em, 3, but always gets upstaged by other people to a pretty heinous degree. He's a major character, but people do not treat him like one. Character number 17 is Henry IV, from Richard II, Henry IV Part 1, and Henry IV Part 2. As far as most people are concerned, Henry IV is the placeholder before Henry V. He's just sort of there. He's mostly portrayed on stage as a pragmatic, punch clock king. He knows what he's doing, he comes in, he wears a suit, usually in those modern dress versions, and he just sorta does his job and goes home. He's a little world-weary, a little tired, but that's as much as we get of his character. We don't really get much beyond the pragmatic, bureaucratic dude. However, the man is actually a deeply tragic character in his own right, for reals. As much as that might not be as much fun as Falstaff and Prince Hal and all that, it's actually a pretty major part of what's going on, and a huge part of what Shakespeare's trying to say about what it means to be king during this time period. Henry IV is a usurper. He took his crown from Richard II, and the fact that he did that haunts him for most of these three plays. There's this deeply intense plot about how it ages him, and it worries him to be king, and he knows that he's going to hell for this horrible act of regicide that he perpetrated in the early days of his reign. He's an afterthought in his own reign, and he knows that. He knows that the only way he'll be legitimized is for his son to come in and be a badass, which of course he does in the fourth play of the Henriad, Henry V. However, the fact that he knows that he is an afterthought makes him not an afterthought in an artistic sense. He's actually a driving force of what's going on here. His son even knows that this entire dynamic has to culminate in his legitimizing the Lancastrian line. And the deathbed scene, where Henry IV passes the crown to Henry V, is the most electrifying parent-child scene in the entire canon. Just having Henry IV be a punch clock king and not really that deep, tortured soul that he is, kind of cheapens the effect it can have. There's one version, though, that totally gets this character right.
By what bypaths and indirect, crooked ways I met this crown. And I myself know well how troublesome it sat upon my head. To thee it shall descend with better quiet, better opinion, better confirmation.
Unfortunately, there's a lot that version does wrong with everything else in these histories. Not the point. The point is, John Finch is one badass Bolingbroke. Bolingbroke is his name before he becomes king. Let's stop before I go on a bit of a histories rant. The point is, Henry Bolingbroke, who becomes Henry IV, badass character, he doesn't quite get what he deserves. So, some love to H4.
Then happy, lo, lie down. Uneasy lies the head that wears a crown.
Character number 16 is the first character on this list who often gets completely cut from their play. Character number 16 is Sextus Pompey from Antony and Cleopatra. Who the hell is that, I hear you ask? Good question. Sextus Pompey is the only person who can get Mark Antony and Octavius Caesar to sit down on the same side of the table. Why is that? Well, Sextus Pompey is a pirate leader and son of Pompey the Great, who is such a seafaring threat that everyone in Rome has got to team up to take him out. Pompey also, in the few scenes that he's in, shows that he has a bit of a moral compass. Take a peek.
These three world sharers, these competitors, are in your vessel. Let me cut the cable, and when we are put off, fall to their throats. All there is yours.
This you should have done, not have spoken. In me 'tis villainy, in you 'tis been good service. Being done unknown, I should have found it afterwards well done. But must condemn it now.
Yeah, he's not willing to just see murder done. He has to be sure that everything is above board, which is to say, there's a bit of a political edge there that's kind of interesting in a character as minor as this. Unfortunately, it's sort of an appetizer to the rest of the plot, where Antony and Octavius are no longer sitting on the same side of the table and going at each other's throats. However, Pompey, unfortunately placed though he is, actually is a bit of an interesting character. It's not his fault that Antony and Cleopatra's a sprawling mess of a play. I mean, it can't be his fault. Overall, a politically savvy and not brutish enough character to win, he is woefully underrated and often entirely cut. I've seen productions, though, that emphasize Pompey and play him up, and it can be done really well. So it's a character worth taking a peek at. Antony and Cleopatra has to be pruned and cut into a workable whole, but this is a piece worth trying to preserve.
I know you. How goes it, soldier? I've never hated you. I have seen you fight when I've envied your behavior.
Sir, I never loved you much, but I praised you.
Well, that's all for part 1 of the list. The next 3 parts, in 5 characters each, will count down the top 15 most underrated characters of Shakespeare. See if you can guess which ones I'm going to include, but I hope that I've thrown you off any sort of pattern because they're all over the place. At any rate, I hope that this has given you some thoughts about characters that we don't normally give a lot of attention to, and I'll see you back here soon for more of the underrated characters of Shakespeare here on The Lean and Hungry Look. Cassius out. Character number 17, Henry IV, from Richard II, Henry IV Part 1, and Henry IV Part 2. Most people haven't... damn it.